No mai, haere mai, kia ora. My name is Tim and welcome back. We're going to take you through the first of the activity steps, building empathy and gaining local insight to your challenge. And this is all about finding your problem. So Carl's joined me. Carl is a human-centered design expert, and Carl is one of the key facilitators behind the summit and has helped put together the journey ahead for you over the next 3 days. So welcome, Carl.
Thanks, Tim. Hello, everyone. We've just about to start on to the business end, as we say in New Zealand, where the rubber hits the road, really, over the next 3 to 4 days. We're exploring how we can collaborate across time zones, across cultures, across languages, as a kind of a global exercise. And this sort of thing doesn't happen very often. A lot of the workshops that I perform with human-centered design have the people in the same room working together to solve a problem. So this is a really interesting challenge to see how we can even identify problems collectively and solve them collectively as well. So we'll just shift across. I'm going to be jumping into my screen sharing and have a look at the first part of the slide. And these slideshows are on the Emerging Futures website, right, Tim?
Yeah, perhaps Carl, could we jump into the getting started page? So this first step. So what we're seeing there is that page there, Carl, because that's where we really want people to enter in. So coming from my workspace, you'll see at the top work to do, and just for your benefit, we're going to continue to add the next steps into this area. So like we said at the start of the summit, my workspace is where you need to go to find out what you should be doing next. When we jump in here, Carl, do you want to just take us through what the empathy step is all about?
Absolutely. So this is really, you've all kind of coalesced or gathered together around a particular topic area. It could be waste streams, human survival. We've got ones around the circular economy. What else do we have, Tim? Help me out here.
We've got space. We've got the social change.
Social change, that's right.
We're talking about
resilient energy.
That's it.
There we go. So these are all big topics, and the reason why we've chosen big topics is because we want to sort of find people with sort of a mutual understanding and idea, and also, I guess, a passion for problem solving. The problem with big topics is that they're actually very difficult to solve. So our next stage is really to start to drill down to what is the particular unique problem as a group we are going to solve. So how we do this is we're going to go through a 3-stage process. The first stage is to share local insights. So these might be small insights about your topic or area of discussion, which perhaps is waste stream. So things that relate to the waste stream topic area that is happening in your own local world, in your own community. And we're going to share those with everyone on Slack. The next stage is to then distill these down or reduce these down to just key insight statements. And this will take a little bit of questioning and conversation. And these insight statements are going to get pinned up onto our Trello board, which is our virtual whiteboard. And then the third thing we're going to get to is framing up our own how might we statement. So this is something that's, as a collective, as a group, you've all decided to produce yourself. So we're going to just kind of walk through all 3 of those stages, which are in the slideshow here, and see how we go with our internal team.
So Carl, this step 1, again, those questions that you've got there on the slide deck as you're talking, getting our team going, because again, participants, we want to actually test our own skills and see if we can do this. And what better way to show you or give you some insight to the process and some of the tips and tricks that we use to identify a real problem. And our participants, sorry, not our participants, our internal team, we've got Manish that is going to be hanging out with Carl and Elisa. So Manish is from Bangalore, India, and Elisa is from Indonesia, from East Java. And so they're going to be talking about some of the problems that they are seeing in their local communities. So Carl, what have you got going on here?
Well,
I think today's the team.
The first phase, yeah, really, is as we've been all signed into Slack for a few days now. Hopefully, you've begun to sort of trade stories and introduce yourselves in your Slack channels. And I'm just going to start with my team, and really, I'm just having a think about what problems have I identified in my local environment around this waste streams issue. And one thing I kind of have identified is just going to local festivals and the likes, and noticing how we behave in those festivals when we believe that waste is someone else's problem. So that's what I'm going to post, but I'm really interested to know what my team members think as well.
G'day, Manish. There's Manish. Manish is joining us.
So I'm going to just get started on this. We've had a quick chat, so that they're all sort of across what this first stage is. I'm going to type mine out here as we go through it.
So I think, Carl, one of the things that participants should think about is someone just take the lead and kick the conversation off. And like we heard about in the cultural diversity conversation, which was panel number 6, is don't be afraid to be yourself and share your ideas, and then wait for the others to share what's going on for them. And it's a great way to get the conversation going around just building greater empathy for what's going on in your team's environments. So what are the opportunities for problems to solve? What do we got going on here, Carl? So when I go to festivals in New Zealand, I'm ashamed of how people behave and leave their waste. So we're talking about plastic bottles, plastic bags.
It's tense. It's when you think, look, at the end of a festival, if you ever walk around them, people have left. I think so. Just kind of basically, it's like they've just got up and walked out and have left everything behind, as well as all the other trash, and it's just all built up. And there's no.
It's almost like a scene from after a disaster, right, Carl?
Yeah,
it's just rubbish.
Yeah, it's like post-disaster. So I'm just going to type this out, but I'm also interested at the same time what these guys are up to and what their insights are as well. So I'm going to leave that. Obviously, we're all going to be in different time zones, so it's going to be quite. It could be a lag in this. People might be able to question things in Slack, but we're going to sort of play between having a conversation in Slack and moving across to into Trello, which is our other platform, which is, as I say, is our virtual whiteboard.
So, Carl, to get the conversation going around step 1, I mean, really, Slack is a great place to do this, right? Because it's about sharing those ideas, and potentially, as Carl said, you might post something, and the rest of your team might not be online yet because they're sleeping or they're at work or what's going on. But potentially what you might want to do is post it up and then just ask a question like, what do you think? Or do you have this problem in your area?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I'm constantly kind of thinking as well about maybe other areas, but what I guess we're trying to see is what are some of these mutual connections that we might have. There might be a problem area in Indonesia that actually we do really well in New Zealand or in India. Now this is a really good question here from Nish, because this is kind of really down to what is this behavioural change mechanism that I need to think about. So it's going to take some time for me to think about this particular question, but I think in this particular case, I don't think there's any systems set up, actually.
So no systems to actually deal with the waste. So participants, this is a great chance for you to just be curious and inquisitive. And as Manish is saying, as he's asking questions. And for most of you, this should come as second nature. But I think again, just use this time to get that kind of 360-degree view on the problem, and by asking interesting, insightful questions. But also, if you remember that idea of connection, is don't be afraid to say, well, we've got a similar problem. But it doesn't happen at festivals. It happens in, after the weekend market, or after the market, in the evening, whatever the scenario is. But see if you can find a connection that you see in your own locality, in your own town.
That's right. Yeah. So we can see Elisa's typing away, but let's move over to the kind of the next phase of it. So this could all happen. The beautiful thing about the design thinking process is it's not linear. It's things sort of move around. You can bounce backwards and forwards. So one bit of insight could actually help you reframe your how might we statement, and then you might go back and there might be another discovery or another piece of insight, and you go, oh, actually, perhaps if we framed our how might we statement this way, we might get a bit closer to really getting a much tighter problem to solve. And this could happen 2 or 3 times during your conversation until you get you kind of get a consensus and you go, right, okay, we've really got something that we can now move into the creative problem solving phase.
So what is step 2, Carl?
Step 2. So in step 2, let me bring up our screen here. Step 2 is effectively taking these bits of insight, and as Manish sort of pointed out with his question, is why are we doing this? It's always a good question. Why is this behavior happening? So this could create an insight statement that we add into our Trello board. So there's a few ways we could do this. We might actually, if it's a really dense problem, because we're short on time, we're not sort of typing massive problems, but perhaps if we go into have a ton of garbage in Indonesia, so and there's no good systems here. So one insights statement here is that I can add a card onto my empathy panel and go, the lack of systems to enable people to what are we looking for?
Manage the waste, right? Take responsibility for their waste.
Yeah, and that's good. We could even add that.
There's no incentive to take responsibility for your waste. There's no penalty to take responsibility for your waste.
To take responsibility.
I guess a question I have, Carl, is what do the festival organisers do with all this waste? Is this a cost to them?
That's
is
right.
Is it a burden they have to bear? Do they have to put money aside?
Yeah. Where does the what?
How does that waste get managed by the festival organisers, or do they just leave it? I can't imagine they do.
Nice. Does anyone know a festival organizer? Have we got a chance to pick up the phone and talk to someone locally about what they do?
What Carl's doing there is he's starting to identify what we've said is that we've got the festival attendees, the people that go to the festival, but we've identified someone else that's in this problem, and that's the festival organizer. And by potentially talking to someone that goes to festivals or to a festival organizer, we might get a little bit of insight to some of these questions that we're asking.
So this could go over quite. We're all in different time zones, so by the time you might actually leave some of these questions and these insights and wake up the next morning and see that there's a whole raft of more insights, and the conversation sort of morphed and moved on to a slightly different place. But and that's okay. That's okay, because really what we're doing is we're just collecting the kind of the collective knowledge of the team around certain issues, and what we're trying to do is come to the third step out of all of our insights through here, and they might be themes, they could be insight statements. Some of the statements might require secondary research. That's, hey, let's call someone that we know and as a festival organizer.
Great example, right, Carl? Is that, you know, Manish has come back and said he doesn't think so, but what if you were to Google local festival organizers? I mean,
exactly.
That's one way of reaching out. You don't need to know them personally, but don't be afraid to pick up the phone or write an email and seek out that insight.
Yeah. Cleaning up squarely on the organisers, see the people responsible is a key. Oh, okay. So that's a good point. So there's a responsibility aspect here, isn't it? So we're starting to get someone here, and what we're trying to do is come up to this final framed problem up here, which is the how might we statement. And as this develops, there might be a few attempts at this and a few cards that land in here, but it might be how might we maybe.
What's the point of the how might we statement, Carl? Like what is it meant to do for like you as a problem solver? How's it meant to help you?
Well, I guess the beginning of the statement is it says how might we, it's kind of a collective kind of challenge. So we're actually asking ourselves as a group, as an ecosystems to kind of to think of a systems approach to solving a problem. So the how might we statement is often quite open, but it also points out what the problem is and just sort of grounds our area of focus down. So we've gone kind of really wide with our insights and our themes, and with the how might we're just trying to distill it down to almost a single organizing idea at this stage. So this is not easy, but
can I perhaps provide something for participants to think about? Is that doing this just through Slack and through Trello can be a little bit difficult, but if we were to get everyone into this conversation and allow the backwards and forwards to flow, maybe it would speed things up. So should we invite Manish and Elisa into the conversation? Yeah,
which is definitely doable. I mean, these video chat options, it's just about working out time zones. I'll just share this Hangout as we're working on here. I'll pop this onto here.
That's the thing, is that, you know, words, especially just typed, can be a little bit just doesn't let you express yourself as fully. So using Google Hangouts, just share a link with people and don't be afraid to have a chat. One thing that you should be mindful of is when you do jump online and have a video chat, is just allow a little bit of time to say, "Oh, g'day, I haven't seen you before. Do your petty heart."
If you haven't been watching our sessions, our last one has been on how to introduce yourself, which is often the most overlooked part of. We want to dive straight into business, but we need to also stop to think about who we're talking to and get a little bit more personal information about them, because it sort of builds trust and an understanding of their perspectives. So we'll just wait until these guys come on.
They're going to join us imminently. So again, a little bit more about this how might we statement. What we're trying to do to conclude this first phase is to get a really tight statement around the problem that we're trying to solve. Is that right, Carl?
That's right. And just to give you an example of where we're heading, I'll just bring this up, just if you give me a moment, is that we want to...
hey, Manish. Kia ora.
Manish.
Hi, Carl. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Manish. Where are you from, Manish?
I'm from Bangalore, India.
Bangalore, India. That's great. It's a big city.
Yeah, it's pretty big. A lot of people, so.
And your family's always lived there?
No, actually, I was born in Mumbai, but
Oh.
then moved to Bangalore. I think in 2002, something like that.
That's
Cool.
that's
I've been to Mumbai, Manish. It is one exciting city.
Yeah, really good food.
Amazing food.
Yeah.
Amazing food.
Do you remember
Yeah,
what kind of food you tried there?
Pardon me?
Do you remember what kind of food you tried there?
Yeah, the palak paneer was my favorite dish.
Okay.
I think that was my go-to, like quite spicy. I liked it hot, just with like a roti.
Yeah.
Or, and that was my preferred. Like no rice, just palak paneer and as much roti as I could handle.
Yeah. And it's green, so it's probably good for you.
Totally. That's what I figured, man. I think there was a bit of cream in there.
Yeah.
But really quite good.
Nice example of getting to know each other, and well, just due to the nature of this broadcast, because we don't want to take up too much time. We're just going to have a quick chat because we're starting to get somewhere on few insights around behaviour and who's responsible for the waste and how we can start to address that cause of that issue where people like to walk away from their own waste. They don't show any responsibility, and that's from a personal level right up to corporations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a big problem that can be solved at multiple levels.
Yeah.
So how might we solve this? Like, how might we incentivize festival goers to take more responsibility? How might we help them see, or festival organizers to see that the waste is something that might be valuable?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So I'll just share my screen just in a quick sec. Here we go.
So Manish, you were talking about a lake in Bangalore and this is a slightly different problem.
Yeah.
But there was so much effluent going into the lake that at some point it spontaneously caught fire. Is that right?
Yeah, it's the Bellandur Lake. It was so famous; it was covered by Nat Geo and a lot of different papers. I think it shows a lot of like systemic failures in waste disposal in my city back home, because it's not just that the government failed in checking for these affluents, but it's also that the people didn't care enough about their lakes and their surroundings to find out what is happening to their waste. I mean, they were.
So, a question I have, Manish, is that is there something from the Bangalore context, that and the failing there that can help inform this problem around festival goers?
Yeah, I think part of the thing is that the people, when they are just enjoying themselves, they're not really seeing the aftermath of their incorrect disposal of their waste, I guess. So if you could show them at a later stage, guess what? You drank a lot of beers and left your beer cans, near your tent. This is what it looks like at the end. Maybe if people were aware of, okay, every action that I take here has consequences, and these consequences are not completely borne by me. I think people might feel like that's a moral issue that they would like to solve. At least that's my belief and my hope.
So you're trying to tap into that moral obligation of someone. I guess one observation is that humans turn their, they quite easily, turn their eye away from something.
Oh, it's
Dan. Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Joined in our conversation around how might we solve this problem of festival goers leaving waste after the festival, and what Manish has just been talking about is, can we help raise awareness and tap into that moral obligation that people feel when they see something that just doesn't look right?
for people to take responsibility or to take action or responsibility. So that's quite a tough one, isn't it? I think we'd need to dig a bit further into that one. So immediately, just because we've had a conversation on the via Hangouts, we can start to sort of to flesh out some of these things, and we might sleep on that, or we might come back, or some of our teams have got 6 or 8 people in them, and that's really valuable to have diversity in the conversation. And this particular how might we is not set in stone. Maybe some members, one way you could use Slack is to support this by going, yep, I'm going to add myself to this particular how might we statement as sort of a show of, yep, I believe in this one. We might want
to add another one, or even add a comment, right, Carl?
Yes, right. I could add a comment. I could say, could we reframe this? Frame this as raise awareness. So I want to try and get it into an action. Raising awareness is quite a broad challenge.
I think one of the things that we could look at is how do we connect active people who do care about these sort of issues to the systems that actually are supposed to work. So in the case of the lake, if we could get maybe 5 to 10 active people and get them connected to the government, the right agencies in the government, maybe they could affect change by showing to them, who think like us, who want to see this lake issue solved.
It's the coalition of the willing type conversation, where if you get enough,
don't try and convince the all, right?
The right people, with key influences.
There you go, key influences. With, interesting one, Carl. You're tapping into. So maybe this idea of social influences. Is there like a celebrity that people already look to and respect and follow that we could use to help drive awareness? I was listening to a podcast about a company called Omaze, and this company, I don't know if any of you are aware of the company, but they've basically tapped into social media influencers to help drive charity fundraising and broaden the reach of fundraising.
How's that spelt? Omaze.
OMAZE. Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to add that as a bit of enter to win a dream experience, right? The gamifying or making it a competition.
That's right. So what people are doing is, or what they're doing is they create these incredible experiences that allow you to perhaps connect with a famous person, and you essentially buy a ticket to a raffle. And maybe we could use this, potentially, $1 from every festival ticket goes to, I don't know, again, recycling. So I guess that's what we're doing, right? Like all of a sudden we're starting to get these different how might we's.
Yeah. And we're also coming up with sort of semi solutions, but again we've got to come back to just keep it coming back to what is the problem we're trying to solve, and also not to cast too much judgment at this stage, because that the kind of the critical thinking kicks in once we've established that problem to be solved, and then we can start going, okay, we've got creative ideas coming in. What are the best solutions? And that's going to be the next phase of it. So we're not going to get too far down to the track of problem solving, but even by identifying the problem, you can start to kind of think about some of these solutions as well.
I think that's the thing, right, Carl? And for participants, it's really easy. You'll just see how quickly I slipped into solution mode.
Yeah.
and this is where someone can go, well, hang on, before we go too far, let's get clear on the problem we're trying to solve.
Yeah. And there's other aspects that we can look into, and a great resource which should be linked from, if it's not up onto my workspace at the moment, but is the IDEO's design kit. And Design Kit has it's an open platform with basically all of the resources and frameworks and approaches you might need to start to work through these problems. So I'll just quickly share that website here with you. But
we'll put it up on the first stage there, right, Carl? We could add that in as a link.
Yeah, absolutely. So here it is. Here they've got a range of methods as you go through each of the phases. So it could be, well, we might want to have an interview with a festival owner. We might have to think about analogous inspirations, which could be our Omaze kind of event.
Absolutely.
There's a whole lot of options here. Drawing, it's good. We've had various ways where we've done role playing with groups. So and it's up to you what sort of approach you start to use. Bundle ideas. So now that you've got lots of ideas, so this is more towards the ideation phase, but even in the first phase of just sort of insight gathering, you might want to start to bundle some of these ideas together as well.
Carl, is it right that under the inspiration filter, that will just filter in on the things that essentially the stage that we're at the moment is how do we get clearer on the problem we're trying to solve?
Yeah.
What tools can I use to understand people? Yes, very good.
Fantastic.
So there's a lot of things there. And, I think as teams, we can move quite quickly through this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think, should we call it a wrap? If anyone has questions, what we'll do is on the My Workspace page for this first step, we'll have just a general ask for some help, but the key thing is to use your mentors. Jump into Slack and ask your mentors questions. All of us are contactable. If your mentor is not there, jump into the general channel or the learning channel in Slack and go, hey, at Carl, at Tim, at Manish, at Dan, Elisa, Adriana, Diana, all your mentors, ask us the questions and we'll be jumping in and trying to help.
Fantastic.
All right, everyone. We'll talk to you again a little bit later.
Yeah.
Good night.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.